Hello, Penny. Welcome back.
Welcome back, welcome back. So, we are about to get straight into this grand final game, guys. We have Xcrash, being, of course, Xgod and Ashton Butcher versus Green Dwarf, which is Tyrion and Greenspirit. We do have all of the players ready in the lobby. I think we might be able to get into this one pretty much straight away.
I'm in there already. We're set up for a best of 5 final here. It's not just a best of 3. It's a best of 5 between Xgod and Ashton, named Team Xcrash, and Tyrion and Greenspirit, which we just saw play, which is Green Dwarf, which just eliminated in most people's minds, tournament favorite.
Yeah, so really, really impressive stuff there from Tyrion and Greenspirit. And I think this final game is going to be a really close match between the two teams.
Do you think any team has like an advantage? Do you think like maybe Xgod and Ashton have the advantage of being well rested now that they had some break, or do you think it's more of Tyrion and Greenspirit having the advantage because they are like on fire right now?
Yeah, like Tyrion and Greenspirit, they've got to be feeling pretty good about themselves right now. Yeah, they've just played an amazing 2-0 series against King Dans and Widdowson, like two absolute giants of the Legion TD tournament scene, and they stomped. Like they absolutely stomped both games. So they've got to be like riding high right now, you know? And I just think if they can carry that kind of morale, that snowball going into the game, I think they're just going to play phenomenally well in this grand finals.
Yeah, and we can see everyone opting for greed again, as redraw was the third option.
Redraw, come on. We want to see some spicy new mastermind options. But guys, Twitch chat, without further ado, let's hop straight into this first game of the best of 5 grand finals. We have Xgod and Ashton Butcher on the left-hand side. We have Tyrion and Greenspirit on the right-hand side. All 4 players picking greed, as Crazy just said. And we have, for the king spells, Savior, Press the Attack, and Creditor. Crazy, what do you think about the spells?
I think that actually they are fairly balanced. You have a strong offensive spell in Press the Attack. You have a fairly okay defensive spell in Savior, and you have the economical greed spell in Creditor. So I think it's very well balanced. I think it sets us up for a nice game where every option, every playstyle is viable.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Alright, so we have one snail send, but it was sent against the Priestess player. So, yeah.
I mean, actually, but Xgod started with really 5 worker Xgod started, so he could have been like really hurt by a snail, but yeah.
Actually, the thing that would have hurt him the most is if Greenspirit had just saved and sent on wave 2.
Oh yeah, actually he has Steed. I think with a certain position you might be able to hold most of the wave, but I think you really struggle against two snails.
Steed and Gatecard leaks something like 75% against a Dragon Turtle on wave 2.
Does it now?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yes.
Well, then I think actually with a buff, 2 snails might be even worse for you. Like if you receive it.
But regardless, there is no snail or Dragon Turtle send, so this should be an easy wave 2 here for Xgod. Of course, there's nothing there, but wave 4 could be dangerous for him. Although we do see the mask there in his role, which is an insane unit for wave 4.
Yeah, I mean that unit like can almost full hold on itself if you have a little bit of tank value in front of it.
Yep. Alright, so let's see if players just go for their income on wave 3, or is anyone going to go for some early aggression with a bit of a save into a big send? You see Ashton taking his income, so no surprises there.
It kind of is interesting to see that Xcod picked 3 tier 1s and Tyrion picked 2 as well, so really like putting their faith in the power of the tier 1 units.
Yeah, but Xgod is just looking more and more vulnerable on wave 4. Okay, he does change his mind now. He did go for the Oathbreaker, but changed it to a Devilfish, which is much better on wave 4.
Yeah, and that should tank fairly nice. I mean, I assume he will receive something like a Lizard, which could be a problem. But on the other hand, like the Devilfish is clearly the better option for the next 2 waves, or this wave and the next wave.
Is a leak here from Greenspirit?
I don't think so, honestly. The Yozora actually, I mean, he will leak the lizard, I assume. If even the lizard.
Oh no, he's fine.
Actually is...
he's absolutely fine. He's absolutely fine. That's an easy hold from him there.
Yeah, I mean, the Yozora is insanely tanky early on, and it actually gives a certain amount of magic damage, which, especially on wave 3, is not too bad, honestly. And we can see sense coming out from everyone. Xgod is sending 60, Ashton just going for snail, but I mean, Xgod sending 60 and receiving 80, that could be a problem. It's a snail and a fiend. That's a lot of tank value that he will not be able to shred through with his build. And yeah. There's also a send against Ashton. Ashton's should be able to hold fairly well. And a big send against Tyrion. So I suspect we can see Xgod leaking. No, actually, the false mate did a pretty good job. I think he's holding even. Wow, that's some impressive stuff from Xgod, holding an insane.
And we do see the leak there from Tyrion. In fact, the 58% leak there versus pure income send.
Yeah, I mean that's really. I think Xgod maybe just send out of fear, and he's holding like with very well positioned units and forcing a rather big leak. So that's up to Xgod. That's a very solid play there.
And meanwhile, Ashton with his 8 worker push already on wave 4.
Yeah, and I mean he's sending also some nice amount of lithium. I mean 80. It's not too shabby on wave 5.
Yeah, and Tyrion does go for a resend, deciding to go for a brute into a flower build on 5. Nani?
I just assume that he hopes to like by some way get that onto the fire elemental, but I'm not sure as to how that would work. Seems, at least to me, rather impossible.
I mean, to be fair, with new Honeyflower actually being based on attack speed, the brute does reduce its DPS, but it still can't be the best send. Like, surely he could have just gone on wave 6. He didn't know that Ashton had the Infiltrator.
Yeah, also the flower just, I mean, it deals some nice damage to the brute as well.
It does insane damage to wave 5. Yeah, that's just an easy hold there for Ashton. And Xgod, it looks like he's doing the same over here. So both players holding. We do have a leak out of Greenspirit, 42% to the Fiend Snail there. But he's fine with that, and Tyrion will be able to full cover. But that said, Ashton, he's on 11 workers on wave 5! Dude, 11 workers wave 5.
I mean, Ashton's doing Ashton things, if we're being perfectly honest.
Ashton is doing Ashton things, for sure, dude.
He sent just for income, like, almost every wave, and he's forcing leaks with it, and it's insane. He's on 11 workers, that's mind-boggling. No one leaked too badly, and he's already pulling ahead.
He's pulling ahead, and he has no plans to slow down anytime soon. He continues just income send, income send, income send every wave, and just abusing that long wave as well, with having 2 more workers than anybody else in the game.
Yeah, totally. So actually, what do you think? What's the next wave we're looking at where there will be a big send besides Ashton just doing Ashton things and sending his income? What do you think? What can we expect as a big wave to send? And do you think they'll go here on 7? Or
I mean, wave 7 would be the obvious thing against Ashton, right? Because he's got double Infiltrator, he's got Honeyflower. Fire Elemental's not bad, but a decent chunk of that damage is magic as well. So the problem is that Tyrion doesn't really have a huge amount of Mythium available, and actually Greenspirit continuing to leak against these income sends. I think he shifted here. He wanted a bunk on 7, but he's leaking really badly. 61% to Ashton's income send there.
And the funny thing is, even though Ashton's the only person that just sent on, and he even sent 60 Mythium, and he's already like almost on the same Mythium as everyone else again.
It's absolutely insane. Like, the Ashton train is ready to leave the station, dude. He's not slowing down anytime soon. Greenspirit going for income here. Tyrion continued to save against Ashton Butcher.
Yeah, I think there has been, like, there's a special train line now going from Germany to Bulgaria and just feeding off income and leaks and gold over there, because that's basically what Ashton set up.
Now, Xgod gets his Harbinger here, so he's going to be more than fine on wave 7, especially since it's only an income send against him. I guess we need to wonder whether Greenspirit's going to be in trouble again, because there is a 120 Mythium resend from Ashton, who, like we say, hadn't skipped a wave yet.
Yeah, and actually there's also a send against Tyrion, and Tyrion choosing to boost the veteran here, really feeling the pressure, really feeling like he does not have the tool to deal enough damage to the wave.
Now the boosted vet does give him the hold there, I believe, but Greenspirit, we said it before, he's really starting to struggle now. Like, I think Ashton must have been watching closely during the series against #1. He realised you can't send power mercs against Greenspirit, so what do? You just income send every single wave, and apparently that leaks him much harder.
Yeah, it seems like Ashton really has found a solid formula to combat the Greenspirit train that we saw in the last series. Even forcing king damage here with his just income sets.
Yeah, and meanwhile the long waves are just really, really good for Ashton, who continues to have the worker lead. Tyrion just now drawing equal with him.
Yeah, and I mean, actually that's Tyrion saving a lot. It's over 200 Mythium saved on Tyrion against Ashton.
Yeah, and Tyrion going for the wave 8 send, but Ashton had this deep coiler hidden away. They didn't have the information that he had that in his role, and that deep coiler obviously is an insane unit on wave 8. We'll have to see what happens with the aggro. Can the wave attack the deep coiler quickly enough to make a difference, or will Ashton just be able to easily hold here against this 240 Mythium send on wave 8? Let's have a look.
I mean, it's kind of interesting. Usually against the deep coiler, there's a solid case to be made to send either a hermit or a mole, so that the deep coiler doesn't two-shot the wave anymore. But with the Orcos in the
exactly, dude.
The deep coiler
exactly.
just two-shots the wave again.
But the deep coiler did take aggro fairly quickly there, and it does go down. So this is going to be a leak from Mr. Ashton, and he is on fire. So that's a 25 gold. Oh, he just gets the mole. He just gets the mole there right at the very end, so it's only a 73% leak instead of like 100%, which it would have been if the mole were alive.
I mean, it's solid, honestly. It's solid. It's
something.
For Tyrion Greenspirit.
It's something for sure, but is it enough?
Shutdown. I don't think so. Honestly, looking at Ashton's value, his income, his role, his workers, no way can that be enough. Even in the game, it's credited to amplify his lead even further, because, yeah, I actually have trouble seeing a way to combat the Ashton Butcher train.
Yeah, he's 15 workers now on wave 9. He's 160 income. Like, he's basically 50 income higher than anybody else in the game. And, yeah, this is a rough one. Meanwhile, Xgod continuing to save, so he's just making Ashton's game easier and easier.
Yeah. Really easy at this point. I mean, Ashton, he's not too great on 10, honestly, and I think that's what Xcrash wanted to achieve, to like be able to cover him there. Yeah. But yeah, Ashton's just pulling ahead by a mile already.
Absolutely, dude. And there is the option for a big send on 11 with press the attack. So I think that's probably what Tyrion and Greenspirit will go for. But Xgod has Boar hidden in his role, and Lord of Death as well, so he's not too shabby on 11. And Ashton, he still has that bunk hidden away as well, so he's got answers too.
Yeah, I mean, actually that the roles allowed him to really solidly counter any wave that's coming up in the next 2 to 3 waves, really.
Absolutely, so Ashton, he's even building for 11 with the bunk here on wave 10. And Xgod does go for a send on 10 against Tyrion. So the question is, will this be a leak? And if it is, will it be a big one? Now, Tyrion does have 1380 value, including a Trinity Archer on the APS. So that's some pretty insane damage here on this wave 10. Can he snipe out that Ogre, though? He cannot currently. It looks like the Priestess is on the boss, and of course the Trinity Archer wasting half of its shots attacking the fortified Ogre.
But I mean, at least he's killing
the Ogre. Does go down, yeah.
For Tyrion, it would have been optimal to have the Priestess attack the Ogre, as he would have shredded through it even faster, but it's an okay result, if we're being honest.
This is an okay result.
Sense.
And it does give them a longer wave to continue to save, and do they go on 11? I think they should.
Actually, I'd love to see a 12 more than an 11, if I'm perfectly honest. Just looking at Greenspirit, honestly.
You can't send 12 into Xgod. Like, the Leviathan circle is just nigh on unleakable on 12. Like, even if you send a big tank against it, you can easily just kite away a ram right into the split where it does nothing. But even if the ram goes into the Leviathans, the split shots are able to clear out the wave 12 creeps like from behind the ram. So I don't know, I think it's really hard to send on 12 into that. And Ashton, of course, has both Deathcap and Haven options, which make him insane. So the fact that they save here on wave 11 tells me that Green Dwarf want to go for a wave 13 send.
Yeah, but to be honest, I mean, they could have been forced to send 12, because if they don't receive a send here, they have to match 12. But since they do receive send here, I also agree it should be most likely 13 for them now.
Ashton, by the way, even going for a Creditor full shift here on wave 11. So he is absolutely not playing scared. Like, Tyrion, you've got 300 plus Mythium saved up, who cares? I'm going to full shift my Creditor here on wave 11. And I bet he does it again on 12 as well.
To be perfectly fair, he boosted his Orchid, so he might have been somewhat scared. But yeah, he certainly went for the full-on Creditor.
Yeah. And Greenspirit very slowly holding the wave is kind of ideal for them when they continue to save. So they are playing to their outs. They know that Ashton is a massive problem in the game, and they know that they need to go for a knockout punch because they're not going to catch back up to his income steamroll. So they have to get some incredible damage done when they decide to send. And I think it has to be wave 13, right?
Yeah, I do agree, and I think that Ashton would be very wise to put his money on that bet and just call it out and go for another round of Creditor here on 12, which is looking like he's doing exactly that.
He does. He just full shifts again on wave 12. He's actually undervalued by 200 gold, by the way, so he's just absolutely not scared. He's reading them like a book, by the way. Like, you can just see that the send is coming on 13, so why should he be scared on wave 11 and 12 then?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually some insane value that he generated with this Creditor there. And
yep.
Yeah, I mean, he was under by 200, but he had 200 that he stored, and he got another 85 from Creditor as well. So, yeah, he will have actually fairly certain...
They still don't send on 13. Wow.
There's no way that Ashton can call that out and Creditor one more, right?
No, he can't, right? He can never full shift his Creditor here. Okay, he does. He goes for the full Sovereign, and he's boosting an Orchid, alright? So, Ashton now with 2.8k value on wave 13, over by 80. I'm pretty sure he would hold any send here on 13, but it's not coming. So, actually, this decision not to send from Tyrion and Green looks like it's about to pay off. But when do they send then? Like, do they just go straight 15?
I think at this point, actually, you can't go 15. There's a Leviathan Hades build that will actually have a solid chance of holding 15. I think you have to go here.
They can't 14. Oh, they do 14. Okay. But this is a big leak here from Tyrion versus the income send.
Yeah, it certainly is. But I think that's
67%
really
versus income.
Yeah, but that really makes it clear that they have to go here, because otherwise they'll just die off of, like, not even holding the basic wave spawns.
Yeah. But Ashton's going to be on, like, well over 3k value on wave 14. That's not easy to break.
Yeah, he's at above value for wave 15 after he built.
Yeah. He's going to be 3.3k value there on Mr. Ashton. He even has the Ocean Templar on the Sovereign. Like, how does he ever leak here?
I mean, in theory, it would involve a 4 Eyes, which would get sniped by the Deep Caller again. So I really don't see it happening to kill off Ashton here. I think he's just too fed already.
And Xgod's not looking too weak either. I mean, sure, he's going to be undervalued, but the Leviathans are insane damage. The Boars are good tanks. I think it's just such a hard game for them to win.
Yeah, I certainly think so as well. And
the sends are enormous though. There's 720 here, 680 here. Let's have a look at this Sovereign, because if it pops off, Ashton's just going to hold.
And I mean, he's even focusing the Centaur now. He's easily holding.
It's not even close. He's just going to comfortably hold this one. Meanwhile, Tyrion leaking 58% to a Dragon Turtle. Like, sure, Xgod leaks here, and it's a big leak from Xgod, but Ashton just covering his own lane easily might even be able to clear up some of this in the mid.
Yeah, and I mean, Greenspirit and Tyrion, they really needed the shutdown here. They needed the gold injection. They needed some severe king damage, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, they can call this one here, I think.
Yeah.
I don't see how they ever come back into this game now after their one-hit knockout punch didn't even leak Ashton. Never mind the fact that, you know, they needed to get big king damage here for it to be worthwhile, their mega long save. Not only did they not get more than 7% king damage, but Ashton didn't even leak a single creep.
Yeah. And Ashton's build as well is scaling quite good with the sovereigns that he has, and even being able to add some death caps. Actually, I do wonder whether there's a good interaction between the flower and the dark mage yet, because I hope it's in there.
The dark mage can buff the flower, and make it deal more damage. But in this case, obviously, it's always going to buff the sovereign.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, if he adds more dark mages, for example. But yeah, I think it's time to call this game.
Ashton Butcher has nearly 1,000 value more than Tyrion. 3.6k and 19 workers versus 2.7k and 18 workers. The economic advantage is just obscene at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, Ashton even not pushing any workers after receiving a send on 14, rather opting to wait for the wave 15 and the double workers, and yeah, that's...
Oh, does Tyrion even leak versus the no send here? His Azaria does get its spell off. He clears the boss, so that is... Okay, that could have been absolutely disastrous for Tyrion. Instead, it's only bad. You still don't want to leak here versus no send, but if you leak that boss as well, that would have been absolutely devastating for him.
Yeah, it would really be gutting, but I mean, we can see that the players are now really using the double workers. Ashton investing infinite amounts of gold into workers.
Oh, wow.
Xgod actually is just 12 workers.
Xgod's not pushing at all, so he wants to go for the hold play. But do you know what? It's actually the right call, because Tyrion is so out of the game already. Why does Xgod need to push? Why would he not just stay on as high value as he can to hold whenever the send comes?
I mean, surely, but it's something worth pointing out, because in the end, if Tyrion maybe gets a shutdown from Ashton, he could also come back into the game somewhat. Sure.
But I think what they're expecting is they expect Tyrion to full push at some point to try and break Ashton. And then Xgod, he just doesn't need to have any workers to break someone who's suicide pushing, right?
Yeah, that's true though. So I think it's a well-placed choice, but I think it could back to haunt you if Ashton really starts leaking.
Yeah. Speaking of which, he doesn't need any workers to break him when he's going to leak to no send anyway.
I mean, Tyrion is on the path of full pushing already, though.
He is, yeah. So he started to full push already. Do they try for a 17 send, or are they going to risk holding this 18 send and then try to see if they can pull some kind of miracle out of the bag on wave 18? They are, okay. I like that from Tyrion and Green. I know that they're mega far behind, but I think this is their one shot to be able to win the game, is to somehow hold this wave 17 send. And Greenspirit is not weak on this wave. He's got the Haven, he's got the gates with an Ocean Templar buff. He's pretty solid on this wave.
But the thing is, he doesn't only have to defend one wave, he has to defend at least 1.5 waves.
Yeah, because you know that Tyrion's leaking hard here.
Yeah. But yeah, I also like the choice that Tyrion and Greenspirit made, and they went for the win here, not just for prolonging their own suffering.
Yeah. Let's see, there's a 360 send here against Tyrion. There's a 720 send, twice as big against Greenspirit, of course, because Ashton did push the worker button. Let's see if Greenspirit is able to hold, because he absolutely has to. Tyrion, we can see, getting completely overrun here. even from the baby send there from Xgod, who, as we noted, didn't push any workers. That's a big leak there. 85% on Tyrion. And Greenspirit, it looks like he's not able to hold himself.
No, he's leaking. I mean, Tyrion's leak actually isn't as bad as I would have expected, but it's still massive. And Greenspirit joining in there and leaking as well, that it might not be game, but as we said earlier, game.
Yeah, it might not be game, but they've got an absolute mountain to climb to get back into this one.
Yeah, that's the point. It's even if they survive, it is game, and it has been game most likely for already quite some time.
Yeah. And if they survive is looking like a big if right here, because because the king is dead. GG Xgod, GG Ashton Butcher, taking a quick, well, I say quick, it actually went to wave 17, but it felt like they were ahead from very early on in this game.
I agree. I think it was wave 8, and from there on out it was really... we can say just the Ashton show, as we know that Xcrash played very well together and played to their strength, and Xgod enabled Ashton to carry, but yeah, it was really the Ashton show after that.
I mean, look at this, the big leak on Tyrion on wave 4 has kind of put him back in the game, and then, I don't know, like the brute send against Ashton on wave 5 I think was questionable at best. It didn't pay off, so then Tyrion's losing income off the back of that as well. Greenspirit leaking wave 5, wave 6, wave 7, and Ashton doing pretty damn well against the 240 send on 8, you've got to say. Yeah, and the game just felt really hard for Tyrion and Greenspirit already at that point. And then we see them leaking constantly to the income sends, their massive wave 14 send only scratching the enemy king. And
yeah, barely. I mean, they went to the king and said hello and goodbye, and they have not been seen there for the rest of the game anymore.
Exactly, dude, exactly. But very, very well played there from Ashton and Xgod. I think they handled that one extremely well, and Ashton just completely doing Ashton things in that game, just snowballing out of control. So really well played to those guys.
Yeah, I agree, and it was certainly a worthy finals match one.
Yeah, for sure, dude, for sure. So the question then on the lips of everyone is, can Green Dwarf bring this back to a 1-1, or will we see the 2-0 lead on the side of Xgod and Ashton? Now, I think, based on the performance in Game 1, they just seem to be on another level. But having said that, Greenspirit and Tyrion, they played extremely well in their series against King Dans and Widdowson, so I'd love to see them come back and bring this series to a tie, maybe even take it the full length and see the best of 5 play out.
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly like to see that, but yeah, we will see.
Right, we've had a request for a 1-minute break from the players, so we do just need to respect that, and then they will go. So I think I will take the chance to do the same myself. I will leave you guys on the scoreboard meanwhile, and we can see that Xcrash are in a 1-0 lead as it stands. So yeah, guys, we will be right back. 1 minute. Alright, it looks like the players are back at least. Although I think we are still waiting on Mr. Crazy to return. Hopefully he gets back pretty quickly. So I think we're about ready to get into game number 2. Crazy, welcome back, welcome back. I think the players are ready. Never mind. I think Greenspirit and Tyrion are still not back just yet, so we might have a couple of minutes left. What are you thinking, Crazy? Do you think Green and Tyrion can bring this one back?
I hope so. Let's say that one. And I think, yeah, actually, I think so because throughout this tournament they have impressed me, at least.
Yeah,
and I think they've
sure.
brought some very solid play to the game. Actually, I wonder whether they choose to change up their sending position, which would be their right, as they have lost the first game. Maybe that's something to consider. Maybe that's something to change the dynamic a bit.
Oh, they were happy. They said they were happy with this sending order. So the players are back now. They're ready to start the game. And yeah, I would love to see Green Dwarf bring this one back to a 1-1, just so we've got some real excitement and probably a chance for a 5-game series, because that's certainly what all the viewers want to see.
Yeah, I do agree, and I really hope because it would be kind of an unfortunate end for Tyrion and Greenspirit after playing so well in the semis to go down 0-2 at the beginning of the series already.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's enough of that, guys, because what you really want to see is the game, and here it is. Game number 2 of the grand finals of the Nova Cup begins, and we see all 4 players picking Greed, so I wonder what the option was.
I mean, with everyone picking as fast as it did, it's gotta be cash out.
It could be redraw as well. I think nobody wants to play redraw. It was cash out. It was cash out. So everyone insta-picked Greed, and we're going to have a pretty standard game here with none of the fancy new options played. Xgod says cash out, yuck. So I think that kind of says the players' feelings about it there.
I mean, yeah, that's. I think redraw is worth considering, especially if you want to change your dynamic up a bit. But cash out really never is the play at the moment.
Yeah, agreed.
If we run down the Legion spells real quick, we can see there is Pulverizer, Creditor, and Investment. So just like last game, even more economy oriented this time. Last game we at least had Press the Attack, if I'm not mistaken, but this time really it's Creditor, Investment, and Pulverizer. So no distinct aggressive spell, but rather economy spells and then a unit amplifier.
Pulverizer is insane on certain units as well, and Xgod has one of those certain units. He has the Halo and with an APS. Like Halo with APS with Pulverizer will do insane amounts of DPS.
But it's not getting picked.
There's 3 snails sent here. 3 snails being sent and 2 players leaking, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, we can say rest in pieces for both of the Gate Guard users there.
And luckily, Greenspirit didn't receive a snail as well, because both players leaking from the start would have been pretty bad for them, right?
Yeah, especially because they're leaking 42% to a snail.
Yeah.
So if you both leak 42%, that really does some king damage on one already.
Oh, it does, it does. Now, Ashton, he's leaking his 42%, Tyrion's leaking his 42%, but Greenspirit able to cover that in the mid. Now, Xgod did save on wave 1, so clearly I think he's going to go for a 40 send on wave 2. The thing is, Greenspirit actually stayed 4 workers, so he will easily be able to hold anything that Xgod sends against him, at least on wave 2. So let's see if Xgod does go for that Dragon Turtle here, or does he want to save a bit longer?
I do think he decides to save a bit longer, because he wouldn't have been able to get his 40 Mythium Merc during income. So I think he might as well just skip it again. And let's just point out that last wave was worse for Ashton than for Tyrion, even though they both leaked the same amount of creeps, because Ashton actually had his pack rat instead of his 5 worker stock.
And Xgod did save here, which is actually really bad for Greenspirit. Now he wishes that he had just gone 5 workers and added the seed, I think.
Yeah, I do agree.
But
on the
surely,
other hand, I mean,
surely we see a send on wave 3.
Actually, we can see a big leak here on
Wow,
on Tyrion
yeah, that
again.
kind of came out of nowhere there. The post-income Dragon Turtle there from Ashton Butcher, leaking Tyrion 58% on wave 2.
And that really spells disaster for Tyrion as he leaked wave 1, which is okay, but he's leaking again, and the clock's ticking, and Xcod is on the 75 Mythium already.
Xgod goes 1 snail here. What else does he want? Or is he just continuing to save?
Yeah.
Why is Xgod playing so aggressive here? This is kind of unlike him.
I also am not so sure as to what his thought process is, because he saw the consort already, and the consort will obliterate wave 4 pretty much. So I'm not entirely sure either, but I think he really just wants to put pressure on Greenspirit for Ashton to be comfortably back in the game after he leaves wave 1.
Yeah, that's true. If we take a look at Tyrion's role, by the way, he has the dreaded Boar-Disciple combo. So if this goes late, Tyrion has insane potential there to scale. I think Tyrion has the best late game role in the game, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. He even has the steed, so he can go for the Disciple steeds to have the ultimate shotgun Stockholder, so yeah.
Now here comes the send from Xgod. It is a Dino, and he will be able to send a snail as well to force the Dino into the split. Now we said the consort's going to shred wave 4, but you know what? The consort is not going to shred a Dino.
Yeah, and the consort is just one consort really. It's not a second one added, but rather a second steed.
Yeah, which might be an error here. Now I think both tanks might end up going left because the Buzz. Let's see what happens here, because if that Dino goes on the consort, then Greenspirit is screwed. Okay, it doesn't. So the consort is at least able to kill the split fairly quickly. Meanwhile, Ashton Butcher, he got a Fiend Send, but look, he has a Hellraiser here. There's no way he leaks. So let's go back to Greenspirit. He's doing pretty well.
But now he's starting to focus the Dino, and that's...
Hey, he gets one more chicken.
Yeah, actually he does. And if he's lucky, and if the consort dives to the Dino, it actually will kill off the Dino. With
now we need the Dino to get the last hit. It does not. So he kills the chicken instead of the Dino. He's blaming me. He calls it a penny leak. He's not wrong. This is my kind of luck.
To be fair, it's even with him leaking the Dino, it's not too bad. It was a really big pressure investment that Xcod had there. Xcod didn't king up on 1 or didn't send on 1, just send the snail on 3. So in the end, it might as well have been worth it for Greenspirit.
Yeah. But we do have both Green and Tyrion now on 7 workers, and they'll get a resend here on wave 5, which I think... Well, actually, Tyrion, if he decides to shift here, he is definitely leaking.
Yeah, and I think really that's...
Oh, he had to walk. Okay, he had to walk. He should be fine. Greenspirit goes for a post-income Brute, so let's have a quick look at Ashton's lane. Because if this leaks, it won't be a small leak.
And actually it looks like a big leak already. Because, sure, there's a resummon, but everything's attacking the gate guard.
Yeah? You say a big leak, it's only going to be a Brute plus the boss, right? Like, it could have been way, way worse if there was no resummon.
Yeah, actually true.
But yeah, let's have a quick look.
Yeah, it's just mask fooling everyone already.
And Tyrion, it looks like he's going to leak as well. Now, his Gate Guard did die there with pretty much full mana, and you know that if he summoned that last dog, he would have had an easy hold. So maybe a spot of bad luck there from Tyrion as well. But this leak is absolutely fine. Like, he's going to leak 1 or 2 Scorpions, which is completely fine. Meanwhile, Xgod will clear this up in the mid, no problem. So 0 king damage.
But a very long wave.
A very long wave, and that is bad for Treasure Hunt. Like, Treasure Hunt wants waves to be over quickly. You get a lot more value out of the rats when the waves are fast than when the waves are slow. So a very nice long wave here. But having said that, it's not like Ashton's on a low workers, right? Yeah. He's on 8 workers and Treasure Hunt.
That's what I wanted to point out. Yeah, sure, usually you want the wave to be short if you Treasure Hunt, because you usually sacrifice workers for that, but knowing it's Ashton... He obviously is on the same worker as everyone else and treasure hunting.
Yeah. Alright, now we have the Dino resend from Ashton, the double lizard from Tyrion. And I think Tyrion is shifting gold this time, which he might come to regret.
I mean, I think really that's the plan that Ashton and Xcod had, that really like, call out every shift and like try to get them whenever they try to shift, and just never allowed him to get into the flow of being perfectly able to hit every breaking point just as they need.
Yeah, well, Tyrion actually spent his gold on a steed at the last second, which might come to save him, because if he didn't have that extra unit on the field, he would for sure be leaking really big here on wave 6.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it actually can be a hold. Yeah, it should be, right?
Yeah, does this walk die before killing its Rocco? It does, but this is fine. Like, this is a hold from Tyrion, so that's completely fine. But meanwhile, Xgod, after getting the 2 lizards, pushes to 11 workers here on wave 6. So again, the aggressive worker lead going in favour of Xgod and Ashton. 12 workers, wow, he's not stopping. Pretty nice. Yeah, it is a resend from Tyrion, but it's only 1 snail, so the 12 workers from Xgod are going to be rewarded there. In fact, if Tyrion decided to send a lizard here post-income, he might end up getting a pretty big leak out of Xgod.
Yeah, I hope he does. I mean, Xgod is already on 180 million. He's saving up big times.
Yeah. There's another dino there from Ashton, so how can Tyrion cope against this? He did finally decide to shift, and a big shift actually from Tyrion. But I think he's been caught with his pants down. I think this dino's going to give him some trouble.
I mean, it would be expected. Actually, the main side of the split is doing fairly well, but yeah, there's no way he's clearing the dino or anything else now. So yeah, it's actually a big leak incoming.
Yeah, he's not even going to kill that dino. He's going to leak it on 50% as well. So this is pretty bad now from Tyrion. Like, why did he not expect Ashton to send on literally every wave? 78% there versus a dino, so really paying for his shift here on wave 7.
And Xcod even holding. I mean, Xcod is on 12 workers on 250 Mythium wave 7.
I mean, he only received a snail, to be fair.
Yeah, but he's holding and he's delaying and he has time for his workers. And that's
there's the Ghost Knight. There is the Ghost Knight from Xgod. Greenspirit, how the hell do you plan to handle this?
And I mean, Xcod is also just short of a Hermit to go with it even.
Wow.
Or
he sends
like
a snail, though? Now, Greenspirit smells it coming and goes for a Berserker, which I like. But the Ghost Knight's going to go right because of the snail. Or no, there's a second snail, so now it's going to go left again. I do like the Berserker there from Greenspirit. I think he smells the Ghost Knight coming, so he anticipates the play. He doesn't try to like sell a couple of bosses and go for a deep coiler. Instead, he's all in on killing this Ghost Knight. So I think that's a pretty good read. But the Ghost Knight is going right. And it's all about this Berserker getting on the Ghost Knight early enough to kill it.
Yeah,
which it doesn't yet. Oh no, it's never going to get on there in time. It's never getting on there in time. It's still on the wave.
Yeah, and that's actually a genius call by Xgod to just send the Ghost Knight into the split. I mean, usually that's really what you have to think about. Do you expect your opponent to split off the most powerful mercenary you're sending if you're sending a tank like a Ghost Knight? Do you think he will have an upper split on the right side to like maybe get just the lower spawns into the main side of things? But yeah, in this case it really worked out for Xgod as he would as the strong merc. First tank the split and then tank everything else. And
that's a 95% leak there from Greenspirit. While Xgod has 15 workers, Ashton has 12. Greenspirit's stuck on 9 workers there.
And that's actually Greenspirit leaking a power merc.
That is Greenspirit leaking a power merc, you're right. And all it took was a measly 300 Mythium send on wave 8 to make Greenspirit leak versus a power merc.
Yeah. I mean, actually, Greenspirit and Tyrion, they're not in a bad shape. It's just a thing that Xgod and Ashton are in an insanely good shape right now. I mean, Ashton has pulled ahead by miles already, and
Ashton's on fire again.
Yeah, I mean, Xgod pushed earlier to the 12 workers, and he has still yet to leak in this game.
Yeah.
Okay, so since we cannot see Ascend on 9, do we expect Ascend on 10? I for sure think so against Ashton, at least to try to collect the shutdown bounty, but or do you think like teams will just try to skip 10 and go like 11 or 12?
They might try to go for 11 or 12 just to deny the Creditor. But, I mean, we've seen Ashton just take Creditor regardless of whether he's being saved on or not, right? So I don't know if they'll be able to discourage him from it. And Xgod and Ashton, they are sending here on wave 10. There's Ogre into green. There's income again, because why would Ashton send anything that doesn't give him high income against Tyrion? And yeah, I mean, these guys, they're just way ahead again already in game number 2.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks fairly good for Ashton and Xcod going forward. And it looks like a bit of a rinse and repeat of the last game where Ashton and Xcod are forced in leagues with their income sense or with their sense in general, and Tyrion and Greenspirit are getting desperate and trying to go for a long save.
Yeah. The positive here is that they can potentially go for Creditor now, but it really depends on how well they hold here, because if they just lose out on so much gold and King HP, then Creditor becomes like a really risky play all over again, right?
Yeah, I mean, and if we're taking a look at Greenspirit's lane...
Yeah, Greenspirit is leaking everything. 95% on him, and Tyrion, he's not holding either.
But actually, funnily enough, Ashton gives away a 50 gold shutdown here to a no-send.
He does, but is the game just over?
Ados will be with 80% King HP and an Ogre. This game
They
could
only
indeed
have
be over.
one King upgrade? Didn't they just die?
Yeah, they just died. Wow.
Wow, this
That's
was a quick
fast
one. GG, Xgod and Ashton Butcher taking a very rapid 2-0 lead in the grand final series.
Yeah, impressive actually, and yeah. I mean,
Let's
it
just have a
all
quick
started
look
off
back at
with a
this game.
Fiesta on
So-
1.
So, yeah, we had the Fiesta on 1, we had the re-leak on Tyrion on 2, which was really bad. We had easy hold from Xgod on wave 3. Pretty solid hold from Greenspirit on 4, honestly, against the 100 Mythium send. But then Ashton only leaking pretty small on wave 5 to the post-income Brute, while Xgod held against the double Dragon Turtle. Xgod also holding against 6. Tyrion leaking heavily on wave 7 versus a Dino, and that just gave a super long wave for Xgod to send that massive 300 Mythium send that just destroyed Greenspirit's hopes of winning this game. And then, of course, we see the killing blow delivered there on wave 10. So really well played there. Xgod and Ashton Butcher, they are now 2-0 in the lead in the best of 5 grand finals.
Yeah, and what a game that was, really. I mean, it ended rather quickly, but that was... We saw some insane things, like, I mean, the Ghost Knight plus 3 snails, it's 300. You don't get to see that very often on wave 8.
Yeah. And the Ghost Knight really did its job there. We saw that the snails pushed the Ghost Knight away from Greenspirit's Berserker. I even think that Greenspirit made a very good call there to build the Berserker in the first place, anticipating that Ghost Knight sound. But the fact that it was on the other side of this lane meant his Berserker never got the chance to ramp up, meant he had absolutely no chance of ever killing that Ghost Knight. And yeah, we saw the massive leak there that just really put Greenspirit out of the game permanently. And he just was never able to recover in time for that wave 10. Killing send with the Ogre there from Xgod, so very, very well played by those guys. And yeah, they're in a commanding lead now, 2-0 in the finals. They only need one more win. Meanwhile, Greenspirit and Tyrion, they have their work cut out for them. They need to win 3 in a row to reverse sweep this and win this grand final.
And might I remind you that it seems like you have chosen to sub out Greenspirit and participate in the game of your own, as you can no longer see their suffering. So yeah. No, I'm obviously just joking around as we're getting the lobby set up. Yeah. Anyways, once again, do you think the third mastermind option will get picked potentially here?
I certainly hope so. So Green and Tyrion have send, order, pick. I wonder if they want to mix it up or if they're happy with how it stands. Seems they're happy with the way it stands. So we say good luck to the players, and we should be getting into this game number 3 fairly quickly. What do you think, Crazy?
Yeah,
Do you think Green Dwarf can win a game? Or do you think it's going to be a clean 3-0 victory for Xgod and Ashton? What's your prediction?
I hope for a win of Greenspirit and Tyrion, just because
same.
they've earned it,
Same.
because I want to see that the game go longer. But honestly, by how insanely well Xgod and Ashton have countered Greenspirit and Tyrion, I must say that I think I do favor Xgod and Ashton, not just for the series, but just for this game again already.
Yeah. I mean, Greenspirit and Tyrion, they have to be sweating as well. Like, they had two pretty one-sided games go in the favour of Xgod and Ashton. So it's hard to come back from that. And this is a YOLO game, by the way. This is a YOLO game. Xgod, Greenspirit, 0 balls between them. They take greed, but Ashton and Tyrion asserting their dominance, going for that YOLO pick. And Ashton actually has a very good role for YOLO. That's a perfectly playable role. Like, he has the Leviathan Atom combo. He's got good early game with the Gate Guard start. And Tyrion's role is not bad either, honestly.
Yeah, I really have to say that YOLO in a tournament setting seems to be, Fortuna seems to be rewarding the brave again.
Yeah. And Ashton going straight 5 worker Gate Guard and the Snail Send. Xgod tells me it's YOLO, but of course we already know that. Now let's see what Greenspirit and Tyrion decide to build here.
I mean, I actually think it's perfectly reasonable to not take 2 players YOLO, but rather just one, to be someone is fairly safe and can cover his mate even if the role's abysmal. Yeah. So I think it's a very understandable tactical choice to play 1 player with greed and 1 with YOLO. And we can see Ashton already snailing again, but unfortunately not into the Windhawk style, but rather potentially just feeding
Greenspirit snails as well. So Greenspirit will get a leak out of Ashton here. Let's see if Xgod last minute snails. He does not. Xgod goes for the King upgrade. So the snail situation is in favour of Green Dwarf this time, with a feed for Tyrion and a leak for Ashton.
Yeah, looking at Ashton's role, he really has some problems. So I think with him pushing 5 workers, he has to work some magic with a bazooka and an atom next wave.
I think with the bazooka, he should just be fine on wave. On wave 2, because bazooka is really, really strong unit on wave 2. It has that swift armor, it has that impact damage. I think he's going to be.
I actually do think it depends on what he's getting. What he's getting sent and how much.
Does Greenspirit ever resend a dragon turtle? He doesn't, right? There's no way.
No.
The only way Ashton could do that in the last game was because he had the pack rat.
Yeah. So. But I think even the 20, actually the 20 should easily be fine with the bazooka.
Now Xgod, he is being forced off his 5 worker Growlings of Firelord start. So again, we saw that go pretty badly for Joke on You in one of our games earlier today. But it does mean he's going to hold the Dragon Turtle, right? And that one reason that went so poorly for Joke is because in that game, Xgod only sent 1 snail. But here, Tyrion is full sending with the Dragon Turtle, and the Atom does give him a full hold. So now he hasn't got any pressure against him, and he can go back to, a nice high worker push to come back into this game. Meanwhile, Ashton did not receive a send here on wave 2, so that's going to be an easy hold for him.
Yeah, and I think we can see actually Tyrion is struggling a bit for the moment.
Yeah, he's fine.
Off the wave.
He's fine. He did receive the snail resend there from Ashton, but he added the Peewee in the split, so he's not under any pressure whatsoever. And there's even another resend from Ashton Butcher.
Yeah, I mean the 2 snares on 1 and on 2 against Tyrion, for him in his books, they are just nice stacks that have been added to the belly of his bounty hunter.
Yeah. Now, Greenspirit, he has his 60 Mythium saved up. He doesn't want to send it on wave 3, though. I guess he wants to go 4 against Ashton's Gate Guard?
I assume so, but I really do wonder whether he can afford that. I mean, is it really worth it skipping so much income onto Ashton, who is not looking too bad with his atoms there?
By the way, can I point out that Xgod actually stayed on 4 workers after receiving the Dragon Turtle on 2. Built another Atom here and easily holds the double snail resend coming out from Tyrion.
Yeah, I mean, and that's nice for him, but at some point he really has to transition into his fire load, which he most likely will do here.
Now here comes the send from Greenspirit. It is a Dino against Ashton, which is a pretty dangerous send. Let's see what Ashton decides to do. Does he just sell a Proton to go for the Zeus? No, he just goes for another Atom.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think so. I think yeah, Atom is perfectly reasonable because the way they are positioned, they're actually protecting the gate guard, and they're an okay source of HP and damage this early on. So yeah, and we can see a massive send on Greenspirit. I think Greenspirit just sold off 3 polywalks.
Alright, here's the 80 send against Greenspirit, but I think he should do okay-ish against that, especially with the Tempest just obliterating the Fiend over here. Meanwhile, the 40 send against Tyrion, that's no problem for him. So let's have a check-in with Ashton, because he does receive the Dino here. He is killing it pretty quickly, however. So there is a leak there from Ashton, but it's not like a 90% leak like we saw with a couple of those early leaks in Game 2.
But I mean, it's still bad. It's still not worth his greed, honestly, at this point. Because, I mean, everyone else is at 7 workers, but he has to stay 6 because he just leaked so much gold, he couldn't even push the 7th worker.
Yeah. Now that's a pretty solid leak there against Ashton. And meanwhile, Greenspirit maybe showing some of that Greenspirit that we were missing in Game 1 and 2 of the series, because he's now on 8 workers, leading the game, and I really love to see that, because if they want to win this, they have to take the early lead, and so far they have.
Yeah, and I mean, actually, it looks like that's the first time, really, where they have been able to shut down Ashton in the early game. Usually at wave 5, he's starting to balloon his lead already, even after he leaked to the snail on 1 in the previous game. But now he seems to be just average, just like everyone else.
Yep. Now Ashton sends a Brute here. Does he not know that the Brute provides less income? I think he must have misclicked the Fiend button. He must have misclicked the Fiend. There's no way that he intended to send a Brute here.
Actually, he didn't even add the snail, so honestly, I'm really curious as to what Ashton is thinking.
Yeah, he legit misclicked the Fiend button.
Very unlike for him.
Yeah. I don't think Ashton even has the Brute available on his hotbar, so I'm kind of interested in how he was able to send that.
I mean, actually, you can see a thought process where he wants to send Brute and bait Tyrion into thinking that that was his all, and that he tried to break him here with the best he got. And
well, it does break him, to be fair.
Yeah, but just fake send it, or fake send not everything, because he shifted a bit more than 20 Mythium, or kept it, and he will be able to resend the Brute during income. And I think actually that's what's happening, and that's the Ashton Butcher we don't know, but it's a play that could work out very well.
But this is a long wave while Green and Tyrion continue to save. The problem is, when do you want to send against Atoms? Because as we all know, they have literally 0 weak waves.
I mean, one could make a case for 9, but besides that...
Sure. Their typing has literally 0 weak waves.
Actually, Ashton now sending a Fiend through... Yeah, he must have misclicked last week.
He totally misclicked. Ashton has never sent a Butcher in his life, dude.
I mean, especially not following up a Brute with a Fiend.
Yeah. Now, Xgod goes for that Drake send here against Greenspirit, which probably does leak him, honestly. Like, I know he has the Violet here. And actually, with the Devilfish tanking as well, I think Greenspirit should do pretty well here.
I mean, make it a good do, but yeah, he kills off the main split. He'll just have to kill the 2 Rockos later. Yeah. I think actually the way he handled the Drake on his Devilfish is quite nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, that should
result in... It will be a leak, but I think he should kill the Rockos at least.
No, I think he just kills 1, but that's
he will leak 1. But Tyrion able to hold here, so that's nice. Very, very low. Very, very low HP. 8% Rocco. But again, it's a long wave while they continue to save. Now, Tyrion, he has over 200 Mythium. Greenspirit nearly has 200 of his own. And it's going to be slow going to try and kill this Drake here in the mid as well. So Greenspirit would be able to send an Ogre on wave 7 if that's what he wants to do. And there's a Firelord there from Xgod, so I think a wave 7 send is certainly on the cards. There's a Witch from Tyrion, Witch and Snail. These sends are dangerous, dude. The Drake even making it to the King, so this wave literally could not be any longer.
Yeah, it's not just dangerous for Xgod and Ashton, it's actually a huge threat. I mean, they recognize it. They're already king upping, but if you don't hold here, and I can't see them holding, if I'm being honest, then even if you survive, you give away so much gold if you leak here.
Absolutely. Now, Greenspirit has another 40 to send, so I expect to see a Lizard. Ashton, he does have the Harbinger here with lifesteal, but there's no tanks really to get in the way between the Ogre and the Harbinger. So that Harbinger is going to rip the Ogre is going to rip the Harbinger apart. You do actually see it being distracted by the Proton Chain, which is really nice for Ashton, because I didn't expect that. I expected the Ogre to just go straight onto the Harbinger. But honestly, even like this, all of those atoms, which are kind of his only DPS units to speak of, they die really quickly too. Now, if we have a look over at Xgod, he's actually doing very well. This Firelord surviving far too long for its own good. But there's Ashton's 96% leak, and here is Xgod's 62% leak. This is going to be some pretty serious king damage.
Yeah, and I mean, just the time wasted gives the Witch another recast, and the Froggers are actually dealing decent damage here against the King soon.
Froggos deal more damage than a Lizard, right? Yeah, they do. So each Froggo is like another 40 Mythium send reaching the King.
No, it's way more. Actually, the attack speed of the Froggos is almost twice the attack speed of the Lizards. So
wow, so it's more like an 80 Mythium.
Yeah, almost, I think.
Wow, I mean, look at that. They're alive, but they're on 18%. So Greenspirit and Tyrion, dude, we wanted them to take a game, and I think they're on track to do so.
Yeah, I do. I have to agree. Like, there's no arguing with that. They're in a commanding worker lead. They're equal on Mythium before this wave, when King Ashton and Xgod are already upgrading their King.
Yeah.
And
I look at the workers, dude. Just look at the workers. 9 on Xgod, 8 on Ashton. Meanwhile, 13 each on Green and Tyrion. They are so far in the lead in this game number 3.
Yeah, actually, that's insane. And yeah, Xgod and Ashton sending here gives away a bit of pressure, but we'll soon reach the point where Tyrion can just upgrade a Kingpin and full on push from there on out. And with spells like Overwork and Giant Snails in the game, we might look at an ending on 11 or 12, even with Lone.
Yeah, absolutely. Alright, so Ashton continuing to income send here, but he just bears absolutely no threat whatsoever against Tyrion, who has his 15 workers available. Tyrion even pushing more workers here, not going for the Kingpin on 9. He will, of course, need to get that on the table for wave 10, but regardless, I think with Greenspirit having double Violet here on 9, there's no way for him to leak. Certainly not only versus the 60 Mythium that Xgod has available. And I think they can just go for a massive send whenever they want to try and end the game.
Yeah, one really has to say that Tyrion Greenspirit, the game is in the palm of their hand.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, dude. Now, Tyrion, again, with this one snail send, just absolutely loving that. He still has to get the Kingpin for 10, right? He would leak the no send pretty much if he doesn't get the Kingpin, so he has to do that.
Okay, yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, he will certainly get it. I mean, he's just reading out.
I think he's leaking to no send here. Or to a snail send.
No, I don't think he is actually.
It's close.
Yeah, but the APS is quite tanky. If it doesn't split his aggro, which he does.
Actually, yeah. So he's definitely leaking.
Yeah, this way is certainly leaking. Otherwise, he probably would have helped.
I mean, he's giving a shutdown, but it's only 25 gold, and it's going to be a mega long wave.
Yeah. Yeah,
the Pro League comes out there from Greenspirit. Plus 25 comes out in return from Ashton. But they are sweating here. The sends are enormous coming out from Green and Tyrion.
I mean, yeah, that's a centaur for both of them before income. That's... Yeah. It spells disaster no matter
Now, Ashton,
what
he
you
does
do.
he does have a doppelganger with head chef aura, which is pretty solid. But again, there's no tanks available. Like, he's got 270. Well, if you add 60 as well, he's got 330 gold invested into atoms and protons, which are going to do absolutely nothing for him here on wave 10. He does raise the split now.
I mean, the hope for Ashton is really to snipe out the Centaur and the Imps, I think, and like have the Doppel 101, the boss at the latest point in this wave. I think that's really his only hope. But actually, it looks like it's going fairly well with this plan.
The Centaur does die.
I mean, actually, it worked out very nicely. I think he might even be able to hold.
But Xgod's leaking really hard, though. That's 89% from Xgod. Ashton, can the boss overwhelm the Doppel? I think it can, but it's damn.
No, he can't.
Oh, wow, Ashton holds. Ashton actually holds.
That's insane. That is
insane.
One of the sickest holds I've seen in a long time.
And that keeps them alive.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean it's 1,600 value on wave 10, but you received a Centaur and 2 Imps.
Yeah.
Where you basically don't have tanks, where you basically have just a bad unit in Harbinger and a fairly okay meat shield in Hatchet. But actually it's insane that Ashton holds here, and that might as well give him a chance to come back into this game.
It might. And if we have a look at the economic situation, so sure, they survive, but Xgod, he's on 10 workers, and Green's on 18, and Tyrion's on 19. So they're alive, which means they're not out of the game yet, but damn if they haven't got their work cut out for them to come back into this one.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly do. I mean, it's Ashton holding here and them surviving is really just a silver lining and the hope that stays alive.
Yeah.
It's by no means did it put them back into the game or even in the driving seat.
Yeah. Right, let's have a quick look then. Nobody sending here on wave 11. Of course, everyone going aggressive. We see actually Greenspirit taking the taxed allowance here. So he didn't want to go for overwork or giant snails. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't go for an aggressive send when there was one available. Like, giant snails, I think, is decent against Ashton.
Yeah, I have to admit, really, against the Doppelganger or Nightmare builds, the added value of the giant snails, in my opinion, is more worth it than the taxed allowance, as every send you do is just a bit stronger, and especially on waves you want to send against a Doppelganger, which is 12 and 15, they really do add some meat in front of the wave that deals the damage. So actually, I really wonder what its thought process behind taxed allowance was.
And the thing is, Tyrion did take the giant snails, but Xgod already has boars on the table. Now, Ashton plays 1 too, but remember they didn't know he had that available. So I think the fact that Tyrion takes the giant snails and they will just get obliterated by Xgod's boars, it's almost like he doesn't have a leading spell at all. So maybe Greenspirit was onto something there by picking the taxed allowance.
I mean, I don't know the exact maths, but it would be quite interesting to know how many great boars and red eyes you need to one-shot the giant snails.
I think 1 red eyes does it.
And I can't imagine that. A giant snail, the giant meme can't be the perfect meme. that by no means. So, and I think
when is the send going to come then?
I mean, actually, I think if they hold their nerves, it's 15. If everyone holds their nerves, it's 15.
Yeah, I can see it.
That being said, though, there's a solid case to be made for Ashton and Xgod sending 14 against a Gate and the Leviathan Violet, but I personally think it's 15 for everyone.
Yeah,
wow,
I can see 15. But we have Ocean Templar Gates here with APS on Tyrion, so he's not that weak on the magic waves.
I'm kind of intrigued as to what Ashton's thought process was, as he just added a Gate on wave 13 where he was insanely strong already with his HF Doppelganger combo, and by no means can he expect a wave 14 and wants to counter it with a Soul Gate.
Yeah. So let's see it. Okay, anyways, the 14 sends do come out, and there's a lot of eyes here. There's a lot of eyes here.
Yeah, it's a classical
see-
16 eyes.
Yeah, there's the 12 eyes. There's 12 eyes and a pack leader.
No, it's 16 eyes because Greenspirit sent 2 for us.
Yes.
And there's one from Tyrion hidden behind the pack leader as well.
Yes.
And there's one from Ashton as well.
Okay. If we include both teams, then there's 16 eyes altogether.
Yeah.
Now let's see if we get any damage done with all of these eyes available. Now Xgod has pack leader and full giant snails. Ashton also sent in a few giant snails, but it looks like he kind of forgot he had them available because he sent a cannoneer as well there. But he could have just sent 5 more giant snails.
Yeah, I also don't quite understand the reason behind that, but also we'll have to see whether it really matters.
Greenspirit's just easily holding this. There's no danger there for him. Tyrion looks like he's holding as well. This veteran, not only is it dealing out insane amounts of damage with the stim, but it's even tanking perfectly there. Xgod and Ashton, they call the GG here on wave 14. Very, very well played, Greenspirit and Tyrion. They do have a glimmer of hope now as they bring the series to a 2-1 advantage only for Xgod and Ashton. They're still in it. They can still win it.
Yeah, I mean that concludes our third game, and Tyrion and Greenspirit really like putting themselves on a map again, and that really is a sign of life, and they might be able to like challenge this series now.
Yeah, and again, it's the snail on 1 being the champion. Like the snail is really the MVP of this whole tournament. We get that big leak on Ashton on wave 1. He then saves all the way to 4 and leaks him again. He then saves all the way to 7 and leaks him massively, and Ashton just has such a hard game ahead of him. But even so, he's able to hold the 380 send on wave 10. Mr. Butcher showing us what he's made of, but it wasn't enough. Greenspirit and Tyrion close the game out there on wave 14, so super, super well played there to those guys.
Yeah, I mean that was certainly the whole of the game. It was not enough, but it was quite impressive to look at.
Yeah, for sure. Now the lobby is open. I will get us into there and we'll see if the players are ready to go straight away, or do they need a bit of a breather after that one?
Yeah, I mean I can totally see the reason for a quick like mid-series break, as like players might want to like get a little breather or reconsider their tactical options. So I think we should offer them that option. It's only fair after 3 games already.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, it looks like the other players haven't found their way into the lobby yet.
Yeah. It's just Xcod versus me and you. So yeah.
Yeah.
No, breaking the silence here. I don't really think that this game is more of what we saw from Xgod and Tyrion in their first games in their semifinal. So I think it looked a lot like what we saw earlier, and they played it very well. And I hope we can see that level of gameplay from them continue.
Yeah, sure. Well, it looks like 3 of the players have gone on a quick break, so I think we should say let's meet back here in 2 or 3 minutes' time, and I'll just pop up the scoreboard so that the stream can see how things stand currently. We do have a 2-1 advantage in the favour of Xcrash, but there's still everything to play for in this best of 5. All right, so we've called a break until 22:20. That is 3 minutes from now. So we will see you guys back here in 3 minutes. Don't go anywhere. All right, Mr. Crazy, are you there? Hello, hello.
I am
There
there.
you are. There you
I
are.
am there, and I'm here, and I'm happy. I just fucked up a bit. Let me tell you something. Actually, there was something happening while you were gone during the break.
Okay.
Xcod and Ashton, as the losers of the last game, have decided for Tyrion and Greenspirit to change up their sending order or the player positioning, if you will.
Very interesting. So now Xgod will send into Tyrion, and Ashton will send into Greenspirit.
Exactly.
And actually, perfect timing because game number 4 is ready to start. We do see all 4 players picking Greed, so I assume this was some kind. It was a cash out game. Okay, so nobody deciding to play cash out. They all want to play Greed in.
Yeah. Actually, if we really quick can take a look at the Legion spells, that's something very interesting. That's a very special set of Legion spells. We have Loan as a very defensive option that costs you income. We have All of the Assault as a very offensive option that costs you income. And there is Predator, which just amplifies your economic value and your economic capabilities. So
Yeah. Greenspirit, by the way, he's got a fantastic role. He's got Nightmare Butcher with Gargoyle, even with Firelord to hold on wave 15 where it's traditionally weak. He's got a very, very strong role, I think. And meanwhile, Tyrion, oh my god, I said Greenspirit's role was good. Tyrion has Grawl into Avenger, into Butcher. There's even Nightmare in there for good measure. And Firelord as well for late game with Tempest. Like his role, he's just got so many options and they're all amazing. Tyrion has a fantastic role there. Ashton Butcher, he has got Antler and Gate, which is pretty amazing as well, especially if he can get it into the late game. And Xgod, his role is not bad, but I think he has the weakest role out of the bunch here, just on wave 1.
I mean, it's kind of interesting to see that the weakest role is just an average role because everyone else has insane roles, really. And that being said, actually, I wish I had the opportunity to play something like Gargoyle, Butcher, Nightmare every game, and maybe an answer for 15 as well. I wonder whether that will ever happen. No, I'm just joking. If you want to queue up Classic, pick Forsaken and win the game. No, the scaling is not there. But on a more serious note, we can see everyone on the side of Xcod and Ashton receiving a King Up, and that makes everyone besides Tyrion. So, or am I mistaken? No, everyone is King Upped.
Everybody King Upped, yeah. Everyone. No, there was a Snail Send, but it went into the
It went into the
here,
Grawl.
I think.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Which is why Tyrion has 6 gold more than Xgod here, despite having identical openers.
Makes sense. Yeah,
There is a Snail resend from all players, actually. So both Grawl players will leak, and we know now that this is a 5 creep leak after the Snail buff.
I mean, unless you're King Dance and just place it in front of them.
Yeah.
Then,
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, usually it is a 5 creep leak as far as I know.
Alright, let's see this Grawl go down. Yeah, 5 creeps from both Tyrion and Xgod, so pay attention there, everyone in the Twitch chat. If you place your Grawl right in the middle of the lane and you happen to be the luckiest man on earth like King Dan's is, then you can actually only leak 4 instead of 5.
I mean, Grawl open meta confirmed, like straight up in front.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, that's one of the slowest waves we can see in this game because there's a Bone Crusher that held a snail and just now gonna cover for his teammate. So Ashton, the only one on 6 workers, really profiting from that slow wave.
Oh yeah, and he has 60 already to resend against Greenspirit here on wave 3. So I think he's feeling pretty good about himself right now. There is the Lizard Snail Send. He will be able to send a second snail as well. Greenspirit, what is your answer? Well, it's 2 Gargoyles and a Buzz, and that's not bad, honestly.
But it actually, I have a problem with the boss here. I think the boss should go behind the Nightmare, as the Nightmare does not perfectly two-shot the wave, but rather leaves that on, I think, 3 HP to the Hoppers.
Okay.
So if you have the spare money for a tier 1, you usually want to place it on the side of your Nightmare for it to enable the two-shotting of the wave.
Yeah, sure. Now, there was a snail that didn't send there from Tyrion. Let's see whether or not it would make a difference against Mr. Butcher. I think it might have done. Now, his Crusher is going down, but imagine if there was another snail wailing away on that Crusher.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been so much faster.
I think he just holds like this. Now, Greenspirit, he leaks pretty big, actually. 52% there against the 80 send from Ashton. And again, the long waves favouring Ashton with his 7-worker lead.
Yeah. And I don't really think that the snail that could have been added really potentially might have made a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, the snail would certainly die to the Bone Crusher, but the Dragon Turtle would be full life, and that deals quite a nice amount of damage to the Serpent as well.
Yeah.
But enough of the past, we can have a look at this current wave, and we can see resends by Xgod and Greenspirit. Or sends it.
But Xgod, he stayed on 5 workers, he has 140 gold to spend. I think he should be fine here on wave 4. He did just reroll into Flying Force, so he has the Windhawk Tempest available. Decides to place a Windhawk here, not the best unit on wave 4, but with a Gargoyle as well. Like, his value is just so high, he should be completely fine against the double Turtle send here on 4. Meanwhile, the double Lizard against Tyrion, that might be a different story because it does overwhelm the Fire Lord's shield, but no, I think he's just fine, right?
Yeah, I mean, he might leak 1 Lizard if he's...
The Fire Lord 2-shots them, he's just fine there. Ashton, of course, fine against the Snail Send, and it looks like Xgod is fine as well. Maybe this leaks, actually?
This leaks, but
not badly though, because it lifesteals so much when it kills creeps. I think is he hold?
No.
Oh, okay, 3 creeps. But yeah, Greenspirit wanted to achieve more than a 3 creep leak there with his 80 Mythium send on wave 4, so this is not bad for Xgod by any means. And meanwhile, again, the long waves favouring Mr. Butcher.
Yeah, I mean, he's already off to quite a nice lead here. He's a worker up on everyone else. He's got the most income in the game, and his value isn't really lacking behind. Quite the contrary, after he builds, he'll be the one with the highest value, almost highest value in the game.
Yeah. Highest value, highest workers, highest income. Ashton doing Ashton things confirmed here in game number 4.
Yeah, I mean, that last game we saw a solid performance by Greenspirit and Tyrion to take the game, and they really shut down Ashton early. But this time around, Ashton really put on the full-on Ashton mode.
This aggro, by the way, perfectly tanking the boss with his Desert Pilgrim. Bone Crusher tanking the split all by itself with its own natural regeneration and the heal from the Pilgrim. Now the wave turning around to attack the Serpents while the Pilgrim continues to get that insane heal value. Easy hold there from Ashton against the 100 Mythium send. Meanwhile, Greenspirit 64% leak versus Dino and Snails.
Yeah, I mean that's huge for Ashton. He was the biggest
he's 10
player
workers.
before.
He's 10 workers now, dude. He might even push another one off of this leak gold.
Yeah, I mean that's actually insane.
He doesn't.
Ashton,
okay, he stays on 10. What a pussy.
I mean, it's not like that's 1.5 times the workers of Tyrion.
All right, Ashton. He's got that early lead going for him. Let's just see if he can snowball his way to victory here in the Nova Cup.
I mean, it certainly looks, at least for this game, to be like a very strong setup for him. He's got a very good late game role with the gates and the antler, and as well the serpents to snipe out any 4 eyes or witches, or shamans for that measure. And yeah, he's like already ballooning his lead. He's income sending, and yeah, that's quite a game that he's putting on so far.
Yeah. And meanwhile, is Greenspirit just going to start chain leaking to the income sends again like he did in game number 1?
No, he at least holds this wave. I'm there, very certain.
And that means he'll easily hold 7 as well. So I think he's in a pretty good position, honestly. And Greenspirit now, having said that, already on 9 workers. Does he dare go 10? Apparently not. Oh, but that's because he wants to hold for Tyrion on wave 7, because Xgod has been starving Tyrion out a bit, and he does have a Mimic here to contend with on wave 7. But Greenspirit's not slacking himself. There's triple Brute here against what Xgod has to offer. The problem is, the Leviathan, very, very strong unit on wave 7. Very, very strong unit.
Yeah, I mean, just the damage spread from its aerial command, from its bombardier ability is quite something here.
Now, Tyrion does add the Avenger here for wave 7. He has insane value, and the Avenger has lifesteal as well. The problem is the Mimic is pretty much perfect against everything that Tyrion has on the board. So let's just have a quick zoom into Tyrion's lane and see what happens. That Mimic chewing on the Firelord. How amazing would that have been if the Mimic had attacked the Butcher instead, but no, straight on the Firelord. That goes down. Mimic is now taking focus, but can it kill the Avenger before it pops off 4 mana? Apparently not. The Avenger does get the better of it. This might just be a hold if it can reach 4 mana and start lifestealing against the wave. Oh, it does, but is it too late?
No, it's not too late. It's actually working wonders.
It's holding! That was so clutch there from Tyrion. And meanwhile, by the way, we didn't have the camera over here, but Xgod leaking 72% versus the triple Brute send from Greenspirit. So, okay, I mean, this game is kind of turning here. Ashton did get that insane early lead, but Tyrion with a clutch hold here on wave 7. Meanwhile, Xgod leaking pretty hard against the send from Greenspirit.
I mean, even with those holds and with the rolls, Tyrion and Greenspirit, they're in a usually very good position. It's just a point that Ashton, he's not in a... That's not measurable on any scale where he's at. He's through the roof to the moon and going on further.
Absolutely. I mean, he does have the 13 workers, but Xgod, he's kind of falling behind now, right?
Yeah, that's really the problem for Xgod and Ashton.
Oh, wow. Ashton Butcher, 16 workers here on wave 8. Wow.
I mean, if you just take a quick look at his income, he's generating a worker worth of income every wave over everyone else.
More than everyone else, yeah, that is insane. Now, Greenspirit, you have to hold against this income send. He does have the doppelganger, though, so I think he can just about pull this one out of the bag.
Yeah, I suspect we might see a hold from Greenspirit. I don't know.
Now it's Greenspirit's turn to push 5 workers.
Yeah, totally. Like at least 5 workers. You at least full push whatever you kill from the wave, and probably even add on top.
But even so, he's only using this to catch up to Ashton, not take a lead.
But I mean, it's fine for him personally, as long as he just holds the income sends from the GigaFed player. He at least will have some nice money injected into him every time, so it's better than leaking as he did previously.
Oh, Tyrion and Greenspirit, they're saving their Mythium. They are threatening that wave 11 send with all-out assault, but there is loan to counter that. So actually, I think they might go for wave 10. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we are looking at a wave 10, especially considering we see a Bone Crusher, which is not that great of a value, Green Devil, which is not too great, and the Desert Pilgrim also being kind of weak.
Now, Gate's not amazing there either, yeah. Ashton obviously can have 1 or 2 deep coilers, depending how much gold he gets here. But, yeah, the rest of his stuff is not ideal here, although I would say that the Antler's a fantastic tank. So if he has that deep coiler, he has got a decent amount of tank value to let the deep coiler do its damage. But Xgod, he really doesn't look amazing on 10. Like, he has too much magic damage. The Tempests are great, but not against something like an Ogre.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. So I think we're looking at a big send from Tyrion and Greenspirit here on a wave 10.
I think so too. Well, they haven't sent yet. Okay, here it comes, here it comes. There's the Ghost Knight from Tyrion. There's an Ogre and a Turtle from Green. I think the Turtle is a mistake. I think the Turtle enables the wave to just full-on focus the Ogre as soon as the Turtle dies. I would rather send, like, an Ogre and a Brute or something like this, or even an Ogre and a Hermit, honestly. Normally, Hermit's a pretty bad send on wave 10, but if it's got 2 things to heal, like if it's healing the Ogre and the boss, all of a sudden it becomes kind of decent.
Yeah, and also if you get your opponent to leak, that's the Hermit Hermit's value worth in gold running down to the King. So,
all right,
but yeah, we can see a huge
send against Xgod, 280 against Ashton, and not only that, but the Ghost Knight is just perfect because Ashton has a massive amount of impact damage, and the Ghost Knight will just tank that all day long. He didn't even get his Deep Coiler upgraded, so the Ghost Knight dies now, but only once all of the front line from Ashton's already gone. And here's Xgod's 81% leak, half HP boss, full HP ogre. Ashton is obviously, he did better because he cleared the send, but he's still leaking his boss on more than 50% HP. This is insane damage here.
And there's something I want to point out for those of you who don't know it. Ashton received not only a Ghost Knight but also the Lizard. And generally against Deep Coilers or against Sea Serpents, a Lizard you would think is not a great send, but especially on 10, it just wastes so much of the time of the unit to get to the Lizard first and then to the boss that it can be very well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just see the bosses and the ogre wailing away on the king here, bringing it super, super low. I think it's not quite lethal, but it's damn close to it.
Yeah,
wow.
Really...
6% HP, look at this.
I mean, that's super close, and it's not even that the fact that Xcod and Ashton can now go for a real big counter send because there's lone in game, and Greenspirit will just pick up alone and most likely hold here. So
Ashton realizing that, deciding to go for an income send. He knows he's got no chance to leak Greenspirit, who has 1900 value here on wave 11. But the thing is, as soon as Greenspirit receives this income send from Ashton, he can full push himself.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, he quits. He forfeits some of his income. That's true. But I mean, he can catch up on the income after he sent, and he will send a shit ton.
By the way, Tyrion deciding to go for the taxed allowance over the loan, so it makes him weaker on this wave. But obviously, he then doesn't lose the income that you do when you take the loan. But I think he might come to regret that because his Phoenix is dying very quickly to the 4 eyes in the wave. He's actually going to leak pretty badly here, so maybe the loan would have been a good idea for Tyrion.
And I mean, the loan would have enabled him to get another Tempest at least for this wave, and
he would easily hold with a loan. There's no way he leaks. It's pretty much a guaranteed hold with a loan, but this is 115% leak for Tyrion. I'm pretty confident that loan was easily worth it for him here.
Yeah, but it's not as bad for Tyrion and Greenspirit, to be honest, because Greenspirit will actually be able to catch up to Ashton's worker lead at this moment.
True.
And it all comes off of punishing Xgod and Ashton. I mean, Xgod really put on pressure to Tyrion and Greenspirit, or on Tyrion more, by saving and starving himself and enabling Ashton. But that's only worth it if you really get your teammate to go really ahead with the workers. And for now, Ashton's been caught by Tyrion and Greenspirit, and Xgod is just lacking behind. Yeah,
true. I mean, Xgod, you've got to say that he put the work in there to enable Ashton in the early game. We saw him starving Tyrion out pretty hard with that Mimic send on 7, but of course Tyrion was able to hold that, which was huge for him. But yeah, Xgod is there putting in the work. He's playing that supportive role to give Ashton a nice easy game, but Ashton certainly able to abuse that fact. I mean, look at this, he's comfortably on top of the power score charts.
Yes, but the power score will only matter if they survive the next send. That's the point.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, the fact that Tyrion leaked super hard on wave 11, I think actually makes it more likely that Xgod and Ashton are able to come back. Because if Tyrion had just full held there with loan, they would have denied so much gold from the side of Xgod and Ashton. And of course, Tyrion would just have more gold himself, right? Sure, he would have lost the income from the all-out assault, but I think he lost more gold value from the leak than he would have done from, the negative effect of all-out, right? Or loan, sorry.
Yeah, I certainly see your point there. Yeah, I think because also Tyrion is the one sending into Ashton, so you really want those workers on Tyrion.
Yeah. I mean, which he has now, by the way. He does now have some workers. I don't know if you've seen his work account lately, but he has some, I think, is the official.
Yeah, I mean, but it could be even, let's be honest, it could be way more if he would have held his 11 set.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so Penny, do you think we'll see a 14 showdown or a 15 showdown?
I would imagine 15. But, I mean, it's hard to say because Ashton actually has... No, they can't 15. Not against Ashton with potential for Chieftain and massive Green Devil with White main buff. They have to 14, and here it comes.
I mean, do you think Xcod and Ashton do match that send, or do they just king up or king up income? Or?
I mean, I think Ashton cannot leak. I don't think there's really anything that Tyrion could send to make him leak.
But you have to try to weaken him, right? Because I mean, they're at 20% HP. If you just get him to just barely hope, you might as well win the game.
Yeah. I mean, the sends are huge, right? Like, Tyrion has 28 workers, Greenspirit has 31. Xgod is leaking here for sure, and it won't be a small leak. But Ashton, like, I'm pretty confident Ashton holds here with his 3.5k value when he finishes building, right? The question is whether he can hold well enough, not just his own lane, but also Xgod's leak, because we know that Xgod is going to leak a decent amount here, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. But honestly, if they don't catch Ashton now, and if they don't end this game soon, Ashton will most likely do Ashton things again.
Yeah. Well, he has 3,500 value here on wave 14. Like, there's no way that he leaks. There's no way.
It's not wave 15. It's wave 14. You just look at the.
It's 375 over recommended value while receiving 560 Mythium send. Like, this is insane. Yeah. But yeah, Xgod, as expected, this is a big leak over here. He doesn't kill that ogre. I thought he might, but that's 116% there. But Ashton, like, it's not even close. He has a ton of gate minions alive. He has both deep coilers alive. He's even got his antler and his buff Green Devil still alive.
I'm not even sure whether Ashton's stronger back there holding than he was at the beginning of the wave. I mean, all those creeps spawning, they're huge.
Yeah, that ogre's going to die very, very quickly, so that chunk of damage is gone. And I think he's just full covering in the mid.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, we knew he had to do this because they can't really afford to take any more king damage. But seeing him pull this off is pretty impressive.
And I mean, he might as well now wait out the double workers and then just push and push and push as soon as wave 15 has ended.
This one is too close to call. Like, Xgod is out. He's just dead in the game. But that's not too bad because Ashton is so far ahead that when Xgod wants to just suicide push and go for a leak against Tyrion, he can, knowing that Ashton will be able to hold 2 waves.
Yeah, totally.
And look at this.
I think really that's...
Ashton is shifting 800 gold here on wave 15. He has no need to spend it, so why would he? He's just going to pour it all into double workers after wave 15 ends.
Yeah, I mean, and actually Ashton has combined the perfect meme build of the meme devil with the white main and the lost chieftain, which delays infinitely with gates. So he can perfectly delay for his gates and like dish them out. And
exactly.
It's not just that he's on insane value, it's also the fact that he's on a super strong roll for exactly that.
Yeah, and Tyrion knows that he needs to push hard to break Ashton. But that's starting to backfire because he's leaking here versus no send, and it's not a small leak. That's 58% versus no send from Mr. Tyrion. That's not ideal.
Yeah, it's certainly far away from ideal. I do wonder whether it would have been worth it to, like, not push here, but I assume they're sending here. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. What's happening?
Go for a 16 send, but how are you expecting to leak Ashton here? He has 1,000 gold ready to spend before income. Like, I think Ashton just pushes workers here, but if he wants to, he can just be on 5,000 value for wave 16. Have you ever seen someone on 5,000 value before on wave 16, Crazy? Because I don't think I have.
No. I certainly haven't, because that's only something Ashton could and would do, if we're being honest.
Now let's see, does he want to spend that 500 gold? He doesn't need to. Like, he can hold with what he has here. But again, he probably knows he needs to hold 2 waves. So he just full builds. And here he has it. 4,930 value, wave 16, Ashton Butcher, what a guy.
Yeah, and I mean, he's also sitting on 400 Mythium as well, so it's not like that. Yeah, but he's just...
Meanwhile, here's a 720 Mythium send, and Ashton's just going to look at that and say, send? What send? I don't see a send. On the side of Xgod, though, like obviously this will be a leak. It's a smaller send, 660, but he just doesn't have a hope in hell to hold this.
Yeah, I mean, and he doesn't, if we're being honest. I mean, Ashton will cover whatever you leak, and even if he, like...
Yeah, that's 111% leak there. But yeah, Ashton is just... He's still got half of his unit still alive. It just wasn't even remotely close.
Yeah, and he's just generating some more spawns by his gates.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's certainly full clears here as well again.
Oh, and Tyrion has absolutely full push. That means they must resend on 17. They don't have a choice.
I mean, actually, yeah. It's just Greenspirit sending though, right? No, actually, there's
Tyrion is full sending and Greenspirit is income sending because they know that Xgod is going to leak. But is he though? Because Xgod hasn't full pushed. Xgod has actually built quite heavily. He's on 4.1k value here with 5 samurai souls. So I don't know actually that the income send from Greenspirit will be enough to break him here. And meanwhile, I don't think the Ghost Knight from Tyrion will do really anything against Ashton, who still has... Well, he didn't build anything for this wave. He just pushed crazy hard workers. Okay, he built 1 Pilgrim here. But
yeah,
he's not going to leak to the resend. No way.
There's no way. I mean, that's a baby send. That's less than he received last wave.
All right, we need to have a look at this. Need to have a look. I can't click on it, but the Sovereign of Tyrion, because that needs to hit full mana and it needs to pop off, but it's just dying crazy fast. That's a huge leak there, 128% on Tyrion, and Greenspirit with his backline bunk, not tanking for his doppelgangers. He's going to pull off a nice leak as well, 123%, 22 creeps, 23 creeps reaching the king. Do they die here?
I think they might barely be able to survive as some of the leaks are low, but I'm not sure either.
Huh?
And I mean, it's 2 4-eyes, so...
2 4-eyes, they do both die, but there's another... it's over! Wow! Okay. Ashton doing Ashton things. Insane,
yeah, I mean,
dude. That's...
Like, to everyone out there seeing his playstyle, trust me, that's something that Ashton can pull off, and that's something that was very well enabled by Xgod, so it's Ashton who did, like, the heavy lifting, but he was supported by Xgod there, so it's not something you can do on your own. Xgod really, like, put on the pressure, took the all-out assault, forced the leak, so I do really think that it wasn't just the Ashton show, but rather... I mean, it was, but it was enabled and set up by Xgod as well.
But you have to feel gutted for Tyrion and Greenspirit when they brought their king down to 5% HP on wave 10. It was nearly just over there. But then after that, they just couldn't quite do any more damage, right? Like Ashton, he did the Creditor, he full shifted Creditor on 11, 12, and 13. And then when the Send came on 14, he had 3.5k value easily held and covered his teammates' leak in the mid. Full cover? Like, that was just absolutely obscene there from Ashton to be able to full cover both lanes on the wave 14 mega send there from Tyrion and Green. And then they just could never convert it after that. They were so close, 5% on wave 10, but they could just never quite shave off that last bit of king HP. And then obviously we all saw what happened there on wave 17 with Xgod and Ashton clutching it.
But let me point one thing out that really broke the game for Greenspirit and Tyrion, in my opinion, and that is the wave 11. Like, if you don't send king ups there, keep up your pressure, take low, and hold there, you're actually in a far better position.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, if Tyrion took the loan there instead of the taxed allowance, he's easily holding. Like, the 200 gold, he can just upgrade his Tempest into a Leviathan, which obviously is stronger in itself. It's going to tank more of the wave. It's going to empower the Phoenix, so the Phoenix will live longer, deal a lot more damage, lifesteal a lot more because of the head chef. And I'm pretty confident he just full holds if he takes loan there. Then he doesn't lose all the gold from the leaks. He doesn't give the gold over to the side of Ashton and Xgod. And yeah, that might be a pivotal moment. I think you might be right.
Yeah, and also it's not just giving away the gold, but also they gave away the pressure they had because they king up, because they were so scared. So just take loan, don't be scared, and keep on from there, I think.
Yeah, true. And the king up, full send of king up there on wave 11, is really what enabled Ashton to just full greed his creditor on all 3 waves, not be scared whatsoever, and then have that insane amount of value to hold wave 14. But yeah, I mean, what more can we say? Crazy. What a series, dude. We've had some incredible games here in the Nova Cup, and I think the play has just been absolutely amazing and really, really well played here to Xgod and Ashton Butcher, winning the very first Nova Cup. They are the proud owners of $300 between them, I think, which is a really nice amount of prize money donated there by Auto Attack Games. So thank you very much, of course, to Auto Attack for organising, enabling, sponsoring the tournament. It's really amazing to see the developers put their money where their mouth is with this game and generate some hype in the like tournament scene. I think it's just incredible. So just fantastic tournament all round. Very well played by all the contestants. You know, Green Dwarf, they played fantastically today as well. We saw them stomp in their semi-final. We saw them play damn well here today in the grand final as well, by the way. Like, you can't take it away from them. They played really well. But at the end of the day, Xgod and Ashton Butcher, they were just on another level, and they take the win.
Yeah, and I mean, congrats obviously to the winners in Ashton and Xcod, but also shoutouts to not just the players in Division 1, but also there are other divisions going on, so that's like some structure for everyone else involved as well.
Yep.
And yeah, shoutouts to Auto Attack Games for hosting this, and I think it's been a great pleasure, at least for the players, because I think everyone enjoyed competing. It was certainly interesting, although we have not seen as many newer Mastermind options.
I would have loved to see some Fiesta games, you know, especially when they had all 3 games in a row with Fiesta available. Like, Ashton, come on, man, next time, pick Fiesta for the fans.
For the fans, yeah. But actually, it wouldn't work with his playstyle because he's never leaking again after taking his credit.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I think before we end the stream, I know we said a couple of words yesterday, but I really want to say a massive thank you to Jules, Lisk, Danny, and Curing, the developers behind the game that we all know and love. Like, this is just an amazing game. I think what they've done with the patch is overall pretty incredible, and I'm just loving the injection of some energy and hype into the tournament scene as well. So big thank you to the team at Auto Attack Games for everything they do here, and of course a massive thank you to Seraphin as well, our man behind the scenes. Like, he puts in a ton of work to structure these tournaments and make sure that everything runs as smoothly as it can. So big shout out to Seraphin, and last but not least, Crazy, my beautiful co-caster. Thank you, dude. I couldn't do this without you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for casting with me. And yeah, big shout outs to Seraphin. I really wouldn't want to be in his skin. Like, I mean, today maybe was better than yesterday. I assume so, because like it's a bit more set. But yesterday, 4 divisions, there was like 8 teams per division. No, I think it's 8 teams per division, like, or 16 teams even. I don't even want to imagine that. That's gruesome.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Well, I think this is a pretty high note to end the stream on, because we've had some fantastic games of Legion here today. We've had 4 hours of really, really high-level gameplay. And yeah, just once more, just really well played to all of the contestants in the tournament this weekend. But overall, congratulations go to Xgod and Ashton Butcher, the grand winners of the very first Nova Cup Division 1. And yeah, just super play from those guys. Crazy, any last words from you before we end the stream?
Everyone sign up just in time for the next Nova Cup, I guess. Yeah,
absolutely. So anyone in the Twitch chat, if you didn't know, the Nova Cup is going to be a monthly series of tournaments. So you're going to have the opportunity, regardless of your elo, because there's divisions for everybody to play in. Get yourself signed up as soon as those announcements goes up. Get your name on the sheet. Find yourself a partner. You have to be in it to win it. And it's just a great fun weekend of games. So yeah, get yourself signed up then for the next Nova Cup in February, and we hope to see you all here again next month as well. So yeah, everybody in Twitch chat, I hope you've enjoyed the show, and we will see you next month. Goodbye.